Volume 23 of the Tensura light novel, which marks the masterful conclusion of the main storyline, has finally been released, delivering an epic ending filled with twists and turns. Even in this final volume, the characters continue to grow, evolve, and relentlessly push the limits of their power, never seeming to reach a true ceiling. How far can these extraordinary beings go in their pursuit of absolute strength? It is precisely to answer this fascinating question that we will dive today into a detailed analysis of the characters whose power either exploded or whose true scope was revealed throughout Volume 23. Let us begin with Grigori, one of the pillars of humanity, often portrayed as the hope standing against demonic threats. A 10th rank saint, he is among the greatest human combatants and is counted as a former member of the 3 battle sages, the elite warrior order once placed directly under the authority of the Pope. His official title is the Giant Boulder, and among the battle sages, he stands out for an absolutely overwhelming, nearly impenetrable defense. He excels in the role of a tank, absorbing enemy assaults to grant precious breathing room to the supports and attackers positioned in the rear guard. His personality is upright and rigorous, defined by an almost flawless seriousness. He harbors a deep hatred toward monsters, yet conceals a striking contradiction. Despite his imposing appearance, he has a fondness for animals, particularly dogs, an unexpected trait that makes him all the more memorable. However, a trauma from his past continues to haunt him. During a previous confrontation with Ranga, this fear became deeply ingrained within him, to the point that he eventually earned the ironic nickname Inu Garai, meaning one who hates dogs. And as if by cruel fate, during the Great Tenma War, he finds himself facing Kakayashi, one of the mythical beasts that takes the form of a dog, further reinforcing this canine thread that runs through his life in a way that is almost comical, yet tragic for him. In terms of abilities, his historic extra skill, Immovable, which symbolized his capacity to freeze and harden his body at will, ultimately responded to his unshakable resolve and evolved into a unique skill named Tough Guy. This new ability is nothing less than a transcended version of his original power. It allows him to harden his own body to an extreme degree, rendering him virtually indestructible against both physical and magical attacks, while preserving the unyielding defensive essence that makes him a living bulwark. We now turn to Feldway, the primordial angel and leader of the 7 original angels, known as the Phantom King and one of the greatest antagonists in the series. Created directly by Veldanava as the first of the Seraphim, he was the unquestioned leader of the 7. After spending centuries in other dimensions, steeped in an immense quantity of demonic magic, he underwent a dramatic racial evolution, shifting from Seraphim to the Phantom race, thereby gaining colossal power. In the depths of the abyss, he relentlessly fought entities such as the mythical beasts and the insectors, and harbors a long-standing grudge against Diablo that transcends dimensional portals. By absorbing the draconic factor as well as the angelic abilities of Michael, and by merging with his main body hidden in another dimension, Feldway reached a terrifying level of strength. During the Great Tenma War, he pursued his goal of world destruction, convinced that it all represented the will of Veldanava. This is not my fault. It is for the sake of Veldanava Sama. A twisted fanatical logic that completely blinded him. However, everything eventually shifted. His illusions were shattered, and the angelic wounds inflicted upon him by Veldanava himself were healed by Rimuru himself. From that moment on, Feldway became a fervent believer in Rimuru, endlessly repeating his devotion. Thanks to Rimuru's omnipotent cells that were injected during this near-fatal healing process, he acquired infinite regenerative immortality and an abnormally high level of innate abilities, propelling him among the most resilient and powerful beings in the universe. Let us turn our attention to Velzard, the eldest sister of the True Dragons, known as the Ice Empress, or the White Ice Dragon. She is the extremely possessive and yandere elder sister among the 4 True Dragons, with a younger brother named Veldora and a younger sister, Velgrind. Her official partner is Guy Crimson, and in Volume 23, following an absolutely perfect and deeply moving marriage proposal, the two officially become husband and wife, a moment long awaited by fans. Although her primary attribute appears to be ice, her true essence lies in the angelic abilities inherited from her elder brother, which allow her to manipulate the concept of fixation. Her standing, her raw power rank, has increased tremendously over time thanks to Rimuru's influence and support, to the point that she now approaches the level of Gaia Crimson himself. Her energy-based existence value has risen significantly under Rimuru's influence, reaching a level close to that of Veldora. In terms of pure energy alone, excluding physical abilities or special skills, she possesses the greatest amount among the true dragons. Furthermore, thanks to her own skill, she can regenerate her magic infinitely, making the concept of energy depletion completely irrelevant to her. In terms of abilities, she has acquired an unprecedented ultimate skill, founded upon an entirely new law that does not exist within the system established by Veldanava, and which bears divine characters. Her original unique skill is Cessation Lost, a power that allows her angelic abilities to fully manifest. The suspended world she so frequently employs most likely originates from this very ability. In order to counteract the harmful influence of Veldanava, Rimuru carried out an alteration operation on Velzard, harmoniously fusing her angelic abilities with her Leviathan skill into a perfect balance. The result is an ultimate skill named Cthulhu, in reference to her new transcendent authority of ice, offering performance that is both vastly superior and far more stable than anything she possessed before. The oldest and most powerful demon lord, the one who commands even the original primordials, the uncontested Red King, Gaia Crimson, formerly known as the Lord of Darkness. He is the first and strongest of all demon lords, whose global supremacy has never truly been challenged, and who fully deserves the title of the strongest being in the world without any exaggeration. Yet even a being of such magnitude did not cease to evolve in the final volume. After volume 23, his power crossed a new and terrifying threshold, elevating him even higher within the absolute hierarchy. As for his abilities, Gaia originally possessed the demonic type ultimate skill Lucifer, Lord of Pride, which embodied the very essence of perfect replication. Once an ability was observed, he could analyze it, reproduce it, and improve it at will. This power already allowed him to perform near impossible feats, such as activating multiple ultimate skills simultaneously, a level of multi-deployment achieved by very few. However, Volume 23 reveals that after observing the alteration Rimuru applied to Velzard, Gaia chose to implement a personalized version upon his own Lucifer, causing it to mutate into a transcendent ultimate skill, Nodens, God of Abyss. This new form vastly surpasses the former one, to the point of distorting even the divine laws established by Veldanava. The sub-skills of Nodens possess an astonishing level of versatility and power. Thought acceleration, universal perception, demon lord's haki, soul gluttony, inspired by Rimuru's own, imaginary space, this empty dimension that defies all combat logic and makes battles between transcendent beings infinitely more unpredictable and advantageous, skill creation, skill duplication, skill storage, space-time domination, and multidimensional barrier. Among these, soul gluttony and imaginary space stand out in particular, representing a sublimated version of the skill Gaia had copied from Rimuru's Beelzebub, and proving extremely effective in battles between transcendent beings. They completely overturn the rules of combat, allowing the storage of colossal amounts of energy and enabling operations within a void where conventional laws no longer apply. Gaia has most likely elevated his copy of Beelzebub to the point of fully integrating it into his arsenal, thereby acquiring traits close to those of Rimuru himself. Skill creation, skill duplication, and skill storage appear to originate from Lucifer's legacy, but have been boosted to a higher level under Nodens, making Gaia capable of recreating, preserving, and refining any ability he observes. Next is Luminous Valentine, a member of the Octagram and bearer of the title Queen of Nightmares. Born with a phenomenal existence value of 6 million, she was already regarded as the absolute masterpiece by the divine ancestors. However, the hidden truth is finally revealed in Volume 23. Luminous's personality is, in fact, that of the original divine ancestor himself. By recovering the entirety of her memories, she is reborn as a complete divine ancestor, perfectly synchronizing her existence with these ancestral memories. Her existence value then explodes, rivaling even that of the true dragons themselves and reaching cosmic levels. Her abilities evolve accordingly. The ultimate skill she once possessed, Asmodeus, mutates into Ahura Mazda, King of Radiance. Although many of the precise details remain partially veiled, she retains and surpasses everything Asmodeus once allowed. In addition, she gains an affinity with Angramenu, the King of Evil, creating a perfect balance between light and darkness. One can therefore speculate that the essence of Ahura Mazda revolves around the concept of the circulation of souls, a perpetual cycle akin to the wheel of reincarnation. This idea mirrors an authority opposed to that of other entities such as Twilight, whose pursuit instead sought a frozen, static immortality through eternal return. This interpretation aligns with Veldanava's laws, which include reincarnation and which she manipulates as a divine authority. She also fully commands Angramenu through its subskills: thought acceleration, universal perception, analytical appraisal, all of creation, skill synchronization, skill duplication, space-time manipulation, multidimensional barrier, and eternal return. As for equipment, upon awakening as a complete divine ancestor, Luminous recovers her Genesis-class weapon, Dharma, the sacred sword bestowed upon her by Veldanava himself. This divine blade possesses an existence value of several tens of millions, and through complete synchronization, Luminous is able to draw out its full latent power, enabling her to confront opponents of vastly superior caliber. In terms of pure combat technique, her level has skyrocketed. She can stand on equal footing with fighters such as Twilight and would even be capable of defeating a true dragon. She could rival Veldora in a fair fight and might even contend with beings like Zijian or defeat opponents such as De Gruel, an explosive ascent that firmly confirms her status as the Queen of Nightmares. Among the Primordials stands the White Primordial, who joined Rimuru's ranks and received the name Testarossa. Since swearing her allegiance, she has continued to grow without cease. Appointed among the Guardian Lords who protect Rimuru, she obtained the title of Killer Lord and distinguished herself brilliantly during the Great Tenma War, bringing down several major enemy bosses. Envious of Feldway's recovery through Rimuru's omnipotent cells, Testarossa begged her master to grant her the same. Rimuru accepted, bestowing those omnipotent cells upon her, which granted her infinite, regenerative immortality along with other devastating innate abilities. Thanks to this, she is now able to circulate void collapse within her own body without self-destruction, reaching a level of danger and resilience that places her among Rimuru's most fearsome subordinates. I will soon be preparing the ultimate ranking of Rimuru's 12 Guardian Lords. Now that we possess all the necessary data, it is finally possible to establish a definitive ranking based on their true power at the end of the story. If that sounds appealing to you, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss this video. Among the Primordials, the one who embodies yellow, Carrera, joined Rimuru's ranks and received her official name. Since pledging her allegiance, she has continued to grow steadily in power. Appointed as one of the Guardian Lords who protect Rimuru, she occupies one of the highest positions among his subordinates and has been granted the prestigious title of Menace Lord. During the Great Tenma War, she shone on multiple fronts, effortlessly defeating numerous high-level enemy bosses with overwhelming efficiency. Just like Testarossa, Carrera envied Feldway's recovery through Rimuru's omnipotent cells. She therefore begged her master to grant her the same, and Rimuru accepted. As a result, she acquired infinite, regenerative immortality along with other exceptional innate abilities. She can now circulate void collapse within her own body without suffering any damage, reaching a state of extreme stability and lethality that places her at the pinnacle of Tempest's forces. Next, let us turn to the purple primordial among the primordials, Violet, Ultima, affectionately nicknamed Ultima-chan. She is one of the Guardian Lords and bears the title of Pain Lord. Among all the primordials, her growth potential is considered the absolute number one, an explosive rise that makes her potentially the strongest among them. She could very well become the most powerful of the three primordial sisters. During the Great Tenma War, she chained together spectacular feats, and even in the final volume, she defeated monsters on the level of a true dragon, confirming that she may indeed be the strongest of her generation. As for innate abilities, following Testarossa's example, with an added touch of cuteness, Ultima asked Rimuru for omnipotent cells and received them. This granted her infinite regenerative immortality and the ability to circulate void collapse within herself without risk, propelling her to a level where she can unleash destructive power with no apparent limits. Finally, we come to the Black Primordial, Diablo, whose devotion to Rimuru borders on absolute obsession. He is, quite literally, Rimuru's greatest worshipper. He serves as the second secretary and is one of the Guardian Lords, bearing the title of Demon Lord. While he remained relatively restrained during the war against the Eastern Empire, the Great Tenma War gave him the opportunity to unleash himself like never before. He confronted and crushed a multitude of enemy bosses, demonstrating overwhelming superiority. Even in Volume 23, he reveals new strength and previously unseen techniques that further reinforce his aura as an absolute threat. His displayed existence value is 6,666, but this figure is merely a simulation or a camouflage inspired by the Angel's Apotheosis technique. His true value is far higher, although it is not quantified precisely. Judging by performances that rival those of the highest tier entities, it can reasonably be estimated to approach or exceed 30 million, or even more, placing him among the most powerful beings in the universe. His special techniques include the Truth of the Celestial Ring, an ultra-advanced combat technique he personally devised. By exploiting space dominion abilities developed by CL, he seals off a space, circulates void collapse energy within it, and prevents the collapse of the void through infinite regenerative. Immortality. He perfectly balances consumption and regeneration. Regeneration surpasses void collapse destruction, while the energy required is supplied by the circulation of the void itself, granting him truly infinite energy. This technique enables eternal combat without fatigue, perfect control over energy consumption, and constitutes an absolute cheat in battle. It adapts to any opponent capable of manipulating the void. Diablo uses it to circulate the void within his own body, massively boosting his physical abilities, then reinforces everything with magic, an approach that completely defies conventional mage doctrine, rendering him an invincible hybrid fighter magician. Benimaru, Rimuru's #1 subordinate, has received the title of Flare Lord. Since entering Rimuru's service, he has held the position of Supreme Commander of the armies, overseeing all of Tempest's forces. He is the individual Rimuru trusts the most, his true right-hand man. Before continuing, I have a question for you. In your opinion, why does Rimuru not place the same level of trust in Diablo, even though Diablo's loyalty and even affection toward Rimuru rivals that of Benimaru? I would even argue that in Diablo's case, it goes even further. If you have your own interpretation, feel free to share it in the comments. Long regarded as the strongest among the subordinates, alongside the others in the top 3, Benimaru nonetheless lags slightly behind certain figures. However, in the final volume, he finally achieves his complete and transcendent awakening. As a result, he mercilessly crushes Jahil, whom he had previously only fought to a draw, by unleashing overwhelming firepower and abnormally powerful abilities. Having received Rimuru's omnipotent cells and been infused with energy linked to void collapse, he undergoes a major racial evolution. He becomes a supreme being, the flame dragon Oni, standing on the same level as Rimuru, the ultimate form of holy and demonic spirits. His existence value surpasses 40 million. Furthermore, Ramirez lends him the Genesis-grade sword named Atla, and upon being recognized as its legitimate master, his existence value skyrockets to nearly 100 million, a truly stratospheric level. His innate abilities explode in turn. Thanks to Rimuru's omnipotent cells, he masters infinite regenerative immortality and all the abnormal capabilities possessed by Rimuru himself. His ultimate technique? He combines ultra-high temperature flames born from the skill Amaterasu with dominion over heat and light to achieve divine speed, unleashing 100 selected flames in a devastating assault. His ultimate secret technique is called Oboro Kokuen Hyaka Ryoran, Haze Black Flame 100 Petals Rush, a name that resonates like a promise of absolute destruction. It is an original and exclusive technique that only he can wield. Thanks to the acquisition of Rimuru's omnipotent cells and his evolution to the rank of a supreme being, he is now capable of integrating and mastering void collapse within his very flames. The result? A level of destructive power that bears no resemblance to what he was capable of before. An eruption of fire and void that annihilates everything in its path with terrifying efficiency. Let us now move on to one of the most monstrous and tragic entities in the universe, Ivarage, Lord of the Cryptids, also known as the Evil God. She is the progenitor, or rather a mother in a very broad sense, of the Cryptids and of Zegion. Her appearance is that of a young girl with an innocent, almost angelic look, paired with an almost childlike naivety and boundless energy, which makes her status as an absolute threat all the more disturbing. After a massive evolution that condensed an enormous amount of energy within her, her mere presence radiates an aura of pure despair. In Volume 23, she undergoes another spectacular transformation. By devouring Veldanava, or at least a substantial part of him, she becomes Leverger, a hybrid entity of inconceivable power. Endowed with ultra-transcendent abilities, she spreads chaos across the world with the explicit goal of bringing about its total destruction. Despite her devastating fury, she is ultimately defeated by Rimuru himself, marking one of the most intense and decisive confrontations in the entire series. In terms of race, Leverger is likely a supreme being equivalent to the true dragons, or possibly even beyond them. Her existence value vastly exceeds the tens of millions. We are talking about a level that approaches or reaches the billions, or even more. As a being composed of half of Veldanava fused with the accumulated energy of Lucia, her energy reserves and physical capabilities are utterly abnormal. After her transformation into Leverger, she integrates the cores and essences of both Veldanava and Lucia, reaching a level close to that of a transcendent being. Her exoskeleton attains the Genesis grade, and she wields two weapons of that same rank, Veldanava's memory and Lucia's karma. At this stage, her raw power, energy, and physical body combined is simply brutal and overwhelming, a pure manifestation of destruction. At this stage, her raw power, energy, and physical body combined is simply brutal and overwhelming, a pure manifestation of destruction. As for her abilities, she inherited and acquired the ultimate skill once wielded by Lucia, Raphael, Lord of Knowledge. One can reasonably assume that it includes abilities such as accelerated thinking, ultra-precise analysis, prediction, and optimization. Thanks to Raphael, her technical mastery and skill management increased explosively. She also possesses Godspeed regeneration inherited from Lucia, allowing her to reform almost instantaneously. Next comes Gaia, the reincarnation of the father of dragons and a direct descendant of the original elemental dragon, the very source of the entire draconic lineage. She is also Milim's animal companion, personally bestowed upon her by Veldanava. In ancient times, within the former supermagic empire of Soma, a conspiracy led to the death of this elemental dragon. After its demise, Milim granted it her blessing, transforming it into a chaos dragon, an entity so dangerous that Milim herself sealed it away, marking one of her earliest major acts as a demon lord. Centuries later, during an exploration of the ruins of Soma, Yuki and his companions released the dragon's seal. Through Rimuru's intervention, the Chaos Dragon was protected, and its soul gave birth to a new life, Gaia, who hatched from an egg. Since then, Milim, Rimuru, and their allies have watched over her. Because true dragons only feed on prey they have personally defeated, Gaia was raised through an avatar within the labyrinth, where Rimuru, Milim, and the others organized intensive power leveling sessions to help her grow safely. In the final volume, while she stands alongside Milim, a decisive event occurs. During the ultimate battle, Gaia absorbs the cores of Veldanava and Lucia that fell from Leverger after her defeat. This triggers her final awakening. She becomes Velgaia, the fifth true dragon, and officially joins the pantheon of the true dragons. Thanks to the new name bestowed upon her by Rimuru, the divine name is perfectly established, granting her access to the nucleation of the true dragons. She even forms a fourth core, which plays a crucial role by assisting Rimuru during the final confrontation against Leverger. Gaia, who once could only let out cute little cries, has evolved to the point where she can now speak normally after this transformation, an adorable detail that sharply contrasts with her newfound cosmic stature. The creator of the world himself, the greatest of the true dragons, the elder brother of all, Veldanava, known by the title of the Star King Dragon. Born as a perfect and omnipotent being, he found solitude unbearable. To remedy this, he voluntarily abandoned a vast portion of his infinite power in order to construct the world system. He established skills, physical and magical laws, introduced the concept of desire to allow evolution and progress, and created death along with the wheel of reincarnation so that souls could circulate, preventing the world from falling into an eternal, stagnant dystopia. Later on, he encountered Guy and Rudra, then his sister Lucia, with whom he united. From their union was born Milim. Veldanava then departed from this world, but in truth, he had resurrected much earlier, in a distorted and incomplete state. It is only in Volume 23 that he finally manifests fully in his true form. His existence value is, of course, astronomical, since Leverager, after devouring him in part, approached a transcendent level. Veldanava himself unquestionably resides within multidimensional values, immeasurable, cosmic scale levels of power. As for equipment, after his resurrection, he forged an 8th Genesis-class weapon, Memory, a mystical bubble-shaped sword, an armament with a divine and enigmatic aura that embodies his residual power. The existence value released by this sword, the 8th Genesis-grade weapon forged by Veldanava after his resurrection, approaches 80 million, an already monstrous figure that places it among the most powerful artifacts in the universe. But that is not all. This mystical blade contains within it all information and every event that has occurred across all worlds, an omniscient memory accumulated since creation. By impaling an opponent with this sword, Veldanava can directly implant specific memories into the target's mind or soul, a form of mental and spiritual manipulation of terrifying precision. Regarding magical authorities, although Veldanava voluntarily relinquished the ultimate skill that once allowed him to govern the laws of the world, he still retains access to the higher administrator authorities, and even to those that exist beyond them. This grants him a form of vague yet absolute power. Attacks based on any law become ineffective against him, probabilities twist in his favor, and the rules themselves seem to bend to his will. Beyond this conceptual invulnerability, Volume 23 explicitly reveals several supreme and devastating authorities he possesses. Primitive magic, a primordial form of magic already mentioned in the web version, of such an exalted level that even Guy Crimson and Milim are incapable of using it. In the world of Tensei Shitara slime Datta Ken, magic normally relies on the infusion of magicules into a logical and structured process. Primitive magic defies all of that. One merely has to wish, and the effect manifests instantaneously, completely ignoring physical, magical, and even conceptual laws. It is pure force, without intermediaries or apparent cost. The fact that even Guy and Milim, despite being among the most powerful beings, are unable to use it proves that it requires a superior authority inherent to Veldanava himself, independent of raw energy or analytical capability. Compaction frame, an authority even higher than those previously mentioned. It allows direct intervention on the soul, bypassing all defenses and attacks to instantly seize the target's soul. This ability functions even within a suspended world where time is stopped and external authorities are normally blocked. This is how Veldanava was able, during his duel against Rimuru, to literally extract Rimuru's soul without any of his defenses being able to intervene. Like primitive magic, it appears to possess a nature that transcends conventional restrictions. Initialize Heaven, the authority that allows Veldanava to completely reset the world and rebuild it from scratch. Such a reset would erase all existing superior authorities, including those of other beings. This is why, despite his original goal of recovering Lucia's soul, Veldanava did not use this ability during the final confrontation. It would have annihilated his own chances of reuniting his family. Beginning Eden, the authority through which Veldanava created worlds from void collapse. Having lost this energy source, the resurrected and incomplete version of Veldanava can no longer activate it today. And to conclude this overview of ultimate beings, we arrive at the absolute protagonist, member of the Octagram and bearer of the title Creator of Chaos, Rimuru Tempest. The undisputed hero of the work, he is the most recent demon lord among all those currently in existence. Originally an ordinary Japanese office worker, he intervened to protect a colleague from a knife-wielding attacker, was fatally stabbed, and awakened as a slime in another world. In just a few short years, his growth was explosive. After passing through the Great Tenma War, he seized the throne of the strongest being in the universe, surpassing even the gods. His special techniques, void deployment, a name I personally gave to this technique, as the light novel does not explicitly name it. Rimuru deploys his draconic spiritual haki, converts it into void energy, and nullifies enemy attacks by clashing them against absolute negative energy. This method neutralized the assaults of Velzard, the void of Testarossa, and even that of Gaia, an absolute defense that borders on a cheat. Secret Circle Technique. By using Space Dominion abilities, Rimuru creates a closed space in which he circulates void energy. Diablo masters a similar variant, but the danger is extreme. Without protection, the body collapses under the destructive effect of the void. The key lies in Rimuru's slime cells, endowed with infinite regeneration. Regeneration always surpasses void destruction, and the energy required for this regeneration is supplied by the circulation of the void itself, thus granting truly infinite energy. CL taught this technique to Diablo, and it is likely to be passed on to other void users in the future. His ultimate techniques have also undergone radical evolution. Imaginary Blade, a personal attack designed by CL to surpass Melt Slash and Oboro Hayaka Rairen. Rimuru draws the target's soul into his imaginary space and consumes it. The final power is such that it can effortlessly sweep away monsters whose existence value rivals transcendent-level beings, an anti-individual technique of devastating effectiveness. Myriad Variety Petals, Rimuru's absolute ultimate technique, surpassing even Imaginary Blade. Developed by CL, it generates thousands, sometimes tens of thousands, of blades that multiply, transform, and alter their trajectories unpredictably. Their movement is literally impossible to grasp. The power is so overwhelming that it can repel the ultimate techniques of opponents with a higher existence value, then pulverize the enemy entirely into dust. A perfect conclusion for the Demon Lord who has transcended everything. Today, Rimuru has pushed his mastery of the void even further. He is now capable of completely enveloping his body and his attacks with void collapse, elevating his destructive power to a level entirely different from what he displayed before. This aura of pure void renders his movements, spells, and strikes so devastating that they literally erase the very existence of whatever they touch, as if reality itself dissolves under his grasp. And that is not all. In Volume 23, he unveils a new ultimate technique that he personally refined with CL's assistance, the Imaginary Eating Collapse Sword. The principle is terrifying in its simplicity and efficiency. By coating his blade with a concentrated layer of void, Rimuru causes the opponent's energy to vanish instantly upon contact. This stolen energy is not lost. It is immediately absorbed and converted through his spiritual core, allowing him to grow stronger in the midst of battle. The versatility of this technique is exceptional. It synergizes perfectly with any of his other abilities, Imaginary Blade, or even wide area attacks to create unpredictable and nearly unstoppable combos. It is the perfect weapon against enemies with infinite energy or colossal reserves, as it literally deprives them of their vital fuel. That concludes this comprehensive overview of the characters who experienced an explosive surge in power, or whose true scope was finally revealed in Volume 23, the final volume of Tensei Shitara Slime Datta Ken. So, what did you think? Honestly, it was impressive, wasn't it? In many stories, especially at the end of a saga, we often see the same pattern. The protagonist and their close circle undergo a last-minute super awakening, turn the tide, and crush everyone else. But here, things are very different. Rimuru is not the only one who shines. Nearly all major characters, allies, and former enemies alike receive their share of massive yet balanced evolution. It is quite rare to see a work where power inflation affects everyone so harmoniously without leaving anyone behind. We know the classic pitfall all too well, early heroes becoming mere background figures, unable to keep up with the relentless escalation. In Tensei Slime, that is not the case. Thanks to Rimuru's influence, his omnipotent cells, his divine namings, and the global evolution of the world itself, even characters introduced in the earliest volumes, such as Benimaru, Xion, and the others, remain fully relevant and decisive in the final battle. Seeing these iconic figures from the initial arcs actively participate in the ultimate confrontation, wielding powers that rival god-tier entities, it is genuinely moving. It creates a true sense of collective progression, of a family growing together all the way to the end. If you enjoyed or didn't enjoy this analysis, if a particular character stood out to you, or if you think I missed a juicy detail from Volume 23, don't hesitate. Share your thoughts, theories, favorites, or frustrations in the comments. I love reading your feedback. It makes the discussion even more lively. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. We'll meet again very soon for more analyses on Tensei, Shitara, Slime, Datta, Ken. Take care and see you very soon.